On this edition of the Left Bench TV, fans came out on Maryland Day and we asked them the tough questions and find out who the new face is for the Maryland wrestling team.
And the Maryland softball team said goodbye to 3 key players. Stay tuned for that story and more. The Left Bench TV starts now.
One Natty win, another championship appearance, 2 March Madness tournament runs, and countless awards along the way. The year of Maryland athletics is coming to a close as we wrap up for our final episode of the Left Bench TV. I'm Danielle Stein.
And I'm Brendan Hartlove. It's been quite an eventful 2018-19 season for Maryland with some thrilling wins and a few crushing losses as well. But both lacrosse teams are getting their postseason run started with a lot more in store. After a perfect 17-0 regular season, the Maryland women's lacrosse team seemed to be firing on all cylinders heading into the Big Ten tournament. The Terps took a trip up to Baltimore where they pushed past 4th-seeded Penn State 15-8 in the semifinal. Grad transfer Erik Ayala led the offense with 5 goals, taking the team to their 4th Big Ten tournament championship game in as many years. Up against rival Northwestern in a battle for the title, the Wildcats came out hot. Maryland trailed by 6 at halftime, and although they went on a little run in the second half, they ultimately came up short for the first time this season, losing in the championship 16-11. Even though the Terps fell for the first time all year, they still are coming into the NCAA tournament as the #1 seed, a position they're pretty familiar with. The Terps will play in the second round of the NCAA tournament Sunday in College Park when they face off against the winner of James Madison and Stony Brook. Now, when you go undefeated all season, you're going to get some recognition in the conference awards. Yesterday afternoon, the Big Ten awards were announced, with several Terps being honored. Senior captain Jen Giles was named Big Ten Midfielder of the Year. The Ellicott City native has been a 4-year starter for the Terps and leads the team in both goals and assists. On the defensive side, Julia Brigg won Big Ten Defender of the Year for the 2nd season in a row. The senior captain led the Terps from the back all year long. And in the cage, Megan Taylor was named Big Ten Goalkeeper of the Year an unprecedented 4th time. She's the only Big Ten player to ever win their positions award in all 4 years of their career. And finally, the person behind the magic, Kathy Reese. She was awarded Big Ten Coach of the Year for the 4th time since Maryland joined the conference, and this season became the program's winningest coach.
While the women's program was a sure pick for the tournament, there was a bit more of a question mark next to the men's fate in the postseason. While the women's lacrosse tournament was played at Johns Hopkins, the men's lacrosse team will be seeing the Blue Jays in their sleep after dropping 2 straight games to their in-state rival. The Terps hosted Hopkins on April 27th, losing the game 16-11. And if that wasn't enough, the two met once more just less than a week later in the Big Ten semifinals. Maryland came out firing with a 6-2 lead, but couldn't keep up with the Blue Jays as they scored 5 consecutive goals. Goalie Danny Dolan had yet another strong outing, making 15 saves, and Jared Bernhardt led the team with a hat trick, but it wasn't enough for Maryland, landing them on the bubble to get into the NCAA tournament. And although 2 straight losses put the NCAA hopes in doubt, Maryland is back in the tournament, extending a streak that has been active since 2002. John Tillman's team will head on the road, but not too far away, for a matchup at 6th seed Towson on Sunday. And 2 years of lighting up the Xfinity Center courts with his energy and his ferocious dunks, Bruno Fernandez's time in College Park has officially come to an end.
Yeah, Fernando concluded his sophomore year by officially declaring for the NBA draft last week. The big man attracted a lot of attention over the last 2 years, especially this past season as a leader on the Terps squad in the NCAA tournament. Bruno ended the 2018-19 season averaging over a double-double per game and shot just over 60% from the floor. His blocks and dunks will have Terps fans on their feet all year long, and his signature hype and celebrations will be missed in College Park.
With the legacy Bruno Fernando leaves behind, there will be some big shoes to fill, and it sounds like College Park may have found just the guy with big enough feet. As one big man exits the program, another will enter, with Shoal Marial announcing on social media that he has committed to Maryland. The center was considered a top big man in his class a couple of years ago, but after a few injuries, Marial has dropped to a 4-star recruit, according to ESPN and Rivals. ESPN also has him ranked as the 58th player in the nation, so if he can stay healthy, expect him to be a major piece in the Terps rotation next season. He's listed at 7'2", but how about this, a wingspan of 7 feet 11 inches. So we wanted to take a look at just what that means and compare it to some other things. So an average Christmas tree measures in at 7.5 feet tall. No comparison to those arms. We've got the horses in the back to see that just 1 inch, that's how much the length of an average horse has on his wingspan, measuring in at a whopping 8 feet. And even the big man, Bruno Fernandez, measuring in at 6'10", doesn't even come close. Sheesh, to look at that.
One more departure for the men's basketball program. Assistant coach Kevin Brodus will be moving right up I-95 after being named head coach at Morgan State. Brodus is known for his strong recruiting ties in the Charm City and will definitely be a big loss for Mark Turgeon's staff. Also, for those keeping track at home, according to CBS Sports, Maryland has added games against Rhode Island and George Mason to next season's out-of-conference slate.
The Maryland football team wrapped up their spring practice schedule hosting the annual Red-White game on April 27th, and our Morgan Weaver was there and has an in-depth look as how the Terps are looking to kick off in just a few months.
Kicking off an action-packed day here in Maryland Stadium, Terps football held its red-white spring game here at Capital One Field. The day was full of awards and touchdowns. Picking up right where he left off, Anthony McFarland with the first score of the game, helping the red team defeat the white 28-17. Head coach Mike Loxley was presented with the 2018 Broyles Award. A familiar face was also in the crowd today, the 21st pick in this year's NFL draft, Darnell Savage.
With him, just seeing the calls, seeing him get the calls, seeing him get drafted, that whole experience, I'm trying to be there one day, so it was motivation to see that.
And at the end of the game, fans had the opportunity to get autographs from current Maryland players.
Having it on Maryland Day and, seeing it was a pretty good turnout for what we've had here in the spring. So, I appreciate the fan support, former players, and a bunch of the recruits that all came out to kind of see the unveiling of the 2019 Terp football team.
Coach Loxley instills a lot in us. Biggest thing kind of is like playing James will make sure everybody is the same, nobody stands out, we all represent as a team. And then we just got to go out and play gritty, play hard, and then show teams that it doesn't matter who they are, we're going to come out and give them all we got.
Next time we see the Terps back in action will be here at Maryland Stadium August 31st in their season opener versus Howard. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Morgan Weaver. Thanks for watching.
Well, Mike Loxley and the Terps will begin their season at home on August 31st when they host Howard University, and Maryland hasn't had a winning season since 2014. Yeah,
they're going to have a lot of holes to fill in that graduating class after a stellar showing from the Terps in the NFL draft. 4 Terps heard their names called on the big stage, the most taken in the draft since 5 were selected back in 2009. First round, we might as well call him 21 Savage. Defensive back Darnell Savage Jr. was selected 21st overall, joining the Green Bay Packers. Now, Savage was the first DB picked in the draft after an impressive senior season with the Terps picking up 4 interceptions and 51 tackles. Joining Savage in the pros, Byron Coward, who was selected in the 5th round by the New England Patriots, Ty Johnson selected in the 6th round by the Detroit Lions, and Derwin Gray selected in the 7th round by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
New head coach comes to College Park as the 7th ever for the wrestling program. Alex Clemson was introduced last week at the Xfinity Center after coming off a 5-year stint as the assistant coach of Missouri. TLB TV reporter Reese Levin has more on the new addition.
Thanks, guys. New head coach Alex Clemson just wrapped up his introductory press conference. Here's what he had to say.
Yesterday, the former Missouri associate head coach was introduced, and he is excited to lead a team in the Big Ten Conference.
It's the greatest wrestling league in the country, and when you look at what the athletics department has done across the board since joining the Big Ten, several programs here have had a lot of success, 29 as of this weekend, 29 Big Ten championships. So clearly Maryland athletics can compete at the highest level in a tremendous league in a lot of sports, so I think Maryland wrestling has the potential to do that as well.
One philosophy Clemson's bringing from Mizzou to College Park, keeping the best high school wrestlers in the state.
Look at what we did at Missouri. It was my goal to shut the borders down, to keep all the best kids in state, and for the most part I think we were pretty successful at that. and then we kind of grew out from there. And so I'm going to take that philosophy.
Originally from Missouri, Clemson coaches through the words of the 33rd President of the United States.
So Harry Truman, right, on his desk says the buck stops here. I'm excited to have that. I'm excited to have that pressure, if you want to call it, or that opportunity, that challenge to just ultimately it's my vision that gets to be expressed. It's the opportunity to really show people that I've got an ability to compete at the highest level, not as an assistant or as an associate, but as a head.
With 5 years of wrestling coach experience, he still needs some help from the Terp fans.
Come. Just come. I'm going to challenge the fans and the supporters to show up and to believe in this thing and to get behind us and support us as we grow and build together. Don't just get in on it down the road. Get on it now. Be first.
Clemson seems to be getting off on the right foot as he takes over this dynamic program. Back to you guys at the desk.
The wrestling squad will have a different look this upcoming season, losing standout seniors Alfred Bannister, Ryan Deal, and heavyweight Yusuf Hamida.
It was a tough weekend for the Maryland baseball team at home as they were swept by Big Ten foe Michigan. Now, pitching really did the Terps in this weekend. The Wolverines, who are leading the Big Ten, scored double-digit runs in every game of the series, outscoring Maryland 33-12 over the 3-game set. The closest game was Friday, where home runs by Taylor Wright and Chris Alline powered the Terps to 7 runs. However, Maryland only mustered 4 runs in the rest of the series. Rob Vaughn and the team are entering the home stretch of Big Ten play with just 6 conference games left. They sit in 9th place in the Big Ten, which has them on the outside looking in of the conference tournament. The baseball team will travel to Minnesota this weekend for a 3-game series.
And from one diamond to the next, this past weekend, the Maryland softball team played their final series against number 22 ranked Michigan, losing Friday night to the Wolverines 6-1 and falling short on Saturday, where they were shut out 8-0, eliminating them from a shot at the Big Ten tournament. But spirits did remain high on Sunday for Senior Day, and our Rachel Hersheimer was there for all of the rainy action.
Coming off a tough loss yesterday against Michigan in this weekend series, the Maryland softball team got around the Wolverines' defense in the rain, but it just wouldn't be enough to clinch the win. Umbrellas out, rain dances in action for the Maryland softball Senior Day. Michigan's bats getting into action early. Top of the second, Maryland quickly falls behind 3-0 on 3 hits and doubling that in the 5th. But Terps would get into a late groove answering to those runs. Bottom 5, left fielder Ncaa Abatini with a 2 RBI single right up the middle, giving Terps a chance. 6-2 Michigan. After Michigan made a pitching change, a walk would bring in the 3rd and only last run for Maryland. Michigan's offense went on to dominate on the field, beating Maryland 12-3. And although Michigan swept Maryland on Senior Day, spirits were still high as the team said goodbye to pitchers Sammy Main and Sidney Golden, as well as the infielder Bailey Boyd, who were all on the field after the game with their families. Here's what Coach Julie Wright had to say about the graduating seniors.
They're great individuals, great character. They've done a lot for us in this university, in this athletics department, so I see them going out and making big names for themselves now off the diamond.
Being able to finish out my 4 years has been an accomplishment.
Even though Maryland was swept by Michigan this weekend, Coach Julie Wright remains positive about the young talent they have on the team.
We've got 6 new kids coming in, so that makes it even, 6 more freshmen coming in, learning the system, and we're going to be super young but super talented and super athletic.
A hopeful Maryland softball team will be back for the 2020 season. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Rachel Hersheimer.
Well, these 3 seniors made a lasting impact for Maryland. Sidney Golden totaled a career-high 63 strikeouts this season. Sammy Main closed out the season with 34 strikeouts, and Bailey Boyd went from batting 188 average to 308. Some standout players that will certainly be missed in College Park.
Next, we hit the links. The Maryland women's golf team began NCAA tournament play this week as part of the Auburn Regional. On Monday, the team finished 6 over par and tied for 5th place out of 18 teams. This season marks the 5th time the Terps have made regionals in program history and the first under head coach Ncaa. Maryland finished 8th in the Big Ten tournament, led by first-team All-Big Ten honoree Whelan Pat Olankinkuntai. Maryland will be sending her and 4 others to represent the team this week.
Well, the men's golf team, on the other hand, saw their season come to an end just last week, finishing their Big Ten tournament run in 12th place overall. A bright spot, however, for the Terps was junior Peter Nade, who finished in a tie for 9th place in the tournament, shooting 9 over par. Nade was also named to the All-Big Ten second team, and senior Timley Kalanta earned Big Ten Sportsmanship Award.
Now, from some talented players to legendary coaches, men's soccer's Sasho Surovsky and women's lacrosse's Kathy Reese will be immortalized in the Washington, D.C. Sports Hall of Fame. The two coaches have combined for 7 national championships in College Park and have established collegiate powerhouses in their respective sports. Surovsky and Reese will be inducted into the ceremony at Nationals Park prior to the Nats game on June 23rd.
And the seniors on the Maryland track and field team were honored at their last home meet of their careers on Friday. TLB TV's Cameron Doney caught up with the graduates on what their careers have meant to them.
On your mark.
The Maryland track and field team celebrated their successes, their season, and their seniors at their twilight meet on Friday. The Terps took to their own track in preparation for what's to come in the postseason. But while the day-long event had several victories, the spotlight shined on the senior Terps, who competed on their home track for the last time.
It's bittersweet. It's kind of crazy because everybody always talks about how fast this comes up on you, but it really does. Sounds cliche, but it really does.
And the support from the coaches and the rest of the team made for a successful day.
In general, we did pretty well. Like our 200 was really fun that we ran. It was competitive, but it was like a nice run with my teammates and everything.
And even though it's the end of an era for 18 members, their teammates will never forget their time on the track together.
They're the kind of people who are just like, they're your friend on and off the track and they always support you. So it's gonna be very different when they're not here next year.
For the Left Bench TV, I'm Cameron Doney.
The Maryland track and field team returns to competition next week at the Big Ten Outdoor Championships in Iowa City. And typically we do our top 5 plays of the week, but for our last show, we're going to have some fun and take a look back on a year that saw countless memories for the Terps. So here are going to be our top 5 plays of the year. Coming in at number 5, Erik Ayala for the men's basketball team. Watch him cross over Carson Edwards on Purdue, gets it back and hits it from outside. Huge power move for the freshman.
To the pitch for number 4, Donovan Pines at 6'5" powers the header past Ohio State. You see what it means to him there, and the Terps would go on to win the national title.
Number 3, field hockey. Madison McGuire sinks it in. This goal would send the Terps to the NCAA Final Four.
And now a spring sport. Women's lacrosse at Maryland Stadium. Caroline Steele, after leaving the game with an injury in overtime against UNC, buries it to keep Maryland's home winning streak alive.
And number 1, I know you've seen this one before, Maryland, Texas, and it was Antoine Brooks with the pick. This would lead Maryland to their 2nd win over Texas in a row. And for our Terp of the year, it's, you guessed it, first team All-Big Ten, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar finalist, just some of the many accolades Bruno Fernandez earned during his time in the University of Maryland. But now let's add Left Bench's Terp of the Year to that list. What more is there to say that hasn't been said about the big man? Averaging a double-double on the season and about 2 blocks per game, Fernando finished his college career with a bang, and that's before mentioning his countless rim-rocking jams and ferocious rejections. It's tough for Terp fans to see number 23 leave, but his impact will not be forgotten.
And for our team of the year, who else but the national champions? The Maryland men's soccer team had a rough start to the season, going over 400 minutes without scoring a goal, and for a while it wasn't even guaranteed they would make the postseason. But Maryland turned it around and snuck into the tournament as an 11 seed. An incredible run saw the Terps flying to Santa Barbara for the College Cup. After beating rivals Indiana in the semifinal, they took down Akron 1-0 to lift the trophy. The 4th national title in program history and 3rd under head coach Sasho Surovsky. Maryland didn't concede a goal in the entire NCAA tournament, and the national champions are our team of the year.
From college to the pros, a former Maryland basketball player newly baptized in the association. Kevin Herter is our Pro Terp of the Year after making quite the splash in his rookie season with the Atlanta Hawks, making averaging about 10 points and 3 rebounds and 3 assists per game. The Hawks caught some league-wide attention with young talents like Herter and fellow rookie Trae Young, but finished last in their division, missing their shot at the postseason. But the Red Mamba spark on the court led him to be our Pro Terp of the Year.
Now here at the Left Bench TV, we like to go beyond the bench for some of our stories. Last week at Maryland Day, our Reese Levin was out there finding out how much the Maryland faithful really knew about the Terps.
Here at Maryland Day, there are a ton of fans out here today. We're going to see who are the true diehard fans when we ask them some trivia questions. On spring game today? Yeah. Who's the new football coach? Mike Coxley.
I don't know. He went to IUP. He doesn't know. Dabo? Dabo.
I don't know his name, but he used to coach at Alabama. That's all I got. I got more than I got.
You know what? I don't know. I don't know the new Maryland football coach yet.
Oh no, I don't know his name. I don't know his name.
His name is Robert.
When did Maryland join the Big Ten?
2010. I'm gonna go with 2013.
2013.
2012.
2010.
All incorrect.
2011. 2013. 2014.
Correct. Wow. All right. Can you name the starting 5 for the team?
Anthony Cowan Jr. Bruno Fernandez. Was Sticks a starter? I don't know his name, but I know he's Sticks.
Jalen Smith.
Yeah, Jalen Smith. That's all I got. Yeah, I got nothing.
Quinn, Ayala, Marcel, Bruno, Smith. Yeah, that's 5.
Bruno Fernandez, Erik Ayala, Marcel, Cowan,
and
Jalen Smith.
No.
I'm not going to ask you for the starting 5 of the Maryland basketball team. Can you name 3 players from the Maryland men's basketball team? Anybody?
No.
You don't know the tall guy from Angola? You don't know?
No, I don't know his name. What's his name?
Bruno Fernandez.
Bruno.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Starting 5 for the Maryland men's basketball team. Incorrect. Last question. Are you a good boy? Good girl. I'm sorry.
Well, it's the last episode of the year for us, but it's also my last episode of my college career. And 4 years ago, I enrolled at Maryland and saw no opportunities for young undergrads to practice sports TV reporting. So along with my very good friend Alex Flum, we dreamt up what today is the Left Bench TV, a way for us and our fellow students to get the real-world experience we were looking for. My time as co-founder and executive producer has been a whirlwind, from staying up all night until 9 in the morning to edit together any given episode, to many different studio sets, to some incredible sports moments and other crazy breaking news situations along the way, and most importantly, some lifelong friends. The Left Bench TV has developed immensely over the years, and each episode and video we put out, we continue to improve. It's pretty cool to see a program like this and know it's entirely student-run. And while I may be graduating, I know the Left Bench TV is in the best hands and will continue to thrive for years to come. To all the students who have worked on the show, professors and faculty who have advised us, and everyone in between, thank you for the most rewarding and special 4 years.
Well, thank you for not crying, because then I would start crying. That doesn't make for good TV.
There was no promises on that one, I have to be honest.
But I think I speak for all of us when I say that you and Alex Flum created something really special for us to have the opportunity to get all this experience. And it was something we never had at this journalism school before. And so you guys came up with that idea, that dream, and you made it happen. And now when we see everybody turning out this show every week, that means that you guys did something right. And so it's going to suck to have you go as our executive producer, but you're also not going to be here like as a friend either. And so we're all really going to miss you so much. And thank you for everything you've done for us.
That's so nice.
So that does it for our final edition of the Left Bench TV for this year. I'm Brendan Hartlove.
And I'm Danielle Stein. Thanks for watching, and make sure to keep up with our coverage by following the Left Bench on Facebook and Twitter. We'll see you next year for another year of Maryland sports coverage.